You feel it pulling on you, don't you? The voice telling you to harden up. Cut the soft people loose. Stop caring so much. Stop bleeding for everybody who would not bleed for you. But here is what nobody is telling you. There is a kind of man who gets praised for being good, but deep down, he knows he is getting eaten alive. He says yes when he should say no. He stays quiet when something should be confronted. He keeps giving chances to people who keep showing him who they are. He calls it patience. He calls it maturity. He calls it being the bigger man. But if he is honest, a lot of the time, it's fear in sheep's clothing. Fear of conflict. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of looking harsh. Fear of disappointing people. Fear of becoming the kind of man he swore he would never be. So he stays soft. And the world notices. People push the line. They take the extra inch. They test his word. They lean on his kindness until it starts looking like weakness. And after a while, something in him starts to change. He gets resentful, bitter, tired, quietly angry at people he never confronted, quietly ashamed of the man he keeps letting himself become. That is the wound. A lot of men do not need to become nicer. They need to become cleaner, clearer, sharper, harder to use, harder to bend, harder to drag into things that cost their soul. But here is the fear. You think if you become ruthless, you will become cruel. You think if you set hard lines, you will lose your heart. You think if you stop being everybody's safe place, you will become somebody's enemy. No, a real mentor teaches a man the difference. Ruthless does not mean heartless. Ruthless means you stop letting weakness make your choices. So, in this video, I am going to give you 7 laws for becoming ruthless without losing your soul. 7 laws. And the first one is where most men have been lying to themselves for years. A lot of men are trying to be good while quietly betraying what is right. That sounds harsh. But sit with it. They want to be kind, so they avoid the hard truth. They want peace, so they let disrespect live in the room. They want to be patient, so they tolerate patterns that keep poisoning their life. They want to be humble, so they never stand on the standard. And then they wonder why they feel weak. It is like a man holding a shield made of paper. Looks noble from a distance, until pressure touches it. Then it folds. That is what soft goodness does. It looks good until the moment requires strength. A real mentor sees through that fast. He knows a man can be kind and still be firm, generous and still have a line, humble and still not be moved, loving and still say no. That ends here. That is the kind of ruthless we are talking about. Not cruelty. Clean strength. 7 laws. Let's build it. Law 1. Stop confusing softness with goodness. This is where it starts. A lot of men think they are good men because they avoid tension. They are not always good. Sometimes they are scared. Here is the principle. Goodness without backbone turns into weakness. Picture a man at home. His wife is frustrated. Something needs to be said. A real conversation has been waiting for weeks. He knows it, but he keeps avoiding it. He tells himself he is keeping the peace, but the peace is fake. Underneath it is distance, resentment, cold silence, a house full of people walking around what nobody wants to name. That is not goodness, that is fear. Or picture a man at work. Someone keeps dumping extra work on him because he always says yes. He smiles, takes it, and handles it, then drives home angry. He thinks he is being dependable, but he is teaching people his no has no weight. A mentor steps in and says, "You are not being kind. You are being unclear." And unclear men get used. That stings. Good, because a man cannot become ruthless in the right way until he stops calling fear by noble names. Goodness is not the absence of conflict. Goodness is doing what is right with a clean heart. Sometimes that means serving. Sometimes that means staying quiet. Sometimes that means looking another man in the eye and saying, "No more." A good man without a spine becomes useful to everyone except the people he was meant to protect. And once a man sees that, the next law gets sharp fast, because now he has to face what his softness has been costing him. Law 2. Cut what keeps costing your soul. Ruthless men are not careless. They are clear about cost. Here is the principle. If something keeps costing you your peace, your honor, your family, your word, or your edge, it does not get endless access to your life. Picture a man with a group of friends he has outgrown. Every time he is around them, he becomes less serious, less clean, more crude, more loose with his mouth, more likely to drink too much, more likely to talk about his wife like she is a burden, more likely to become a version of himself he does not respect. But he keeps going back. Why? History, comfort, fear of being alone, not wanting to seem better than anyone. So he keeps paying a little piece of himself every time. A mentor sees that and asks, "Who do you become when you are around them?" That question cuts through everything, because the issue is not whether they are fun. The issue is what they are forming in you. Some things are not evil, they are just expensive. Some people are not enemies, they are just not allowed to have close access anymore. Some habits do not destroy you in one night, they bleed you slowly. A ruthless man learns to cut early, not because he hates people, because he has a duty to guard what has been trusted to him. His mind, his marriage, his children, his mission, his name, his soul. The man who will not cut what corrupts him will keep calling loyalty what it really is, self-betrayal. But cutting is where most men start to feel guilty. So the next law has to come right after, because guilt is where weak men hand the wheel back. Law 3. Let people be upset without handing them the wheel. This is where weak men fold. They cannot stand someone being disappointed in them, so they hand over control. Here is the principle. If another person's reaction can make you abandon your standard, they own your standard. Picture a man trying to set a boundary with his family. Maybe he says, "We are not doing that this year." Or, "I cannot keep paying for this." Or, "You cannot speak to my wife that way." Or, "I am not available for that anymore." And the reaction comes. Guilt, tone, drama, cold shoulder. A text with just enough bite to make him question himself. Now the man starts shaking. He explains too much. Softens the line. Offers a compromise he does not believe in. Takes back half of what he meant. Not because the standard was wrong, because the reaction scared him. A mentor teaches a man to stop worshiping emotional comfort. He says, "You are allowed to be kind. You are not allowed to be controlled." That is the line. People can be upset. Let them. They can disagree. Let them. They can misunderstand you for a while. Let them. A man who cannot survive being misunderstood will spend his whole life managed by people who know how to use pressure. Ruthless does not mean you stop caring about people. It means you stop making their reaction your master. The man who can stay kind while someone is upset becomes hard to control and safe to trust. But if you can hold the line with the world, the next law goes deeper, because sometimes the person you need to confront is not out there. It is you. Law 4. Tell yourself the truth faster. A man cannot be ruthless with the world if he keeps lying to himself. Here is the principle. Self-deception is where weakness hides. Picture a man who keeps losing his temper at home. He says he is just stressed. He says work has been heavy. He says his wife knows how to push his buttons. He says the kids were being wild. Maybe some of that is true. But the deeper truth is this. He has trained his family to live around his mood. That is a hard sentence most men will dodge. A mentor will not let him. He says, "You are not just tired. You are destroying your relationship if you don't check yourself. You need to reset." That kind of truth does not crush a man. It frees him. Because once he names the real thing, he can finally deal with the real thing. Or picture a man who says he wants to lead, but he keeps avoiding hard calls, keeps waiting for perfect timing, keeps doing small tasks to avoid the one that scares him. He calls it planning. It's fear. A mentor says, "Tell the truth. You're afraid. Good. Now let's figure it out." That is how Ruthless begins. Not with anger, with truth. Fast truth. Clean truth. Truth before the excuse builds a house around the weakness. Because the longer a man lies to himself, the more expensive the truth becomes. The man who tells himself the truth quickly gives weakness less time to hide. And once truth comes in, the next law decides whether that truth has teeth. Let me press this for a second. If those first four are landing on you, good. That means the soft spots are no longer hiding from you. But here is what I want you to feel before we go further. Real ruthlessness is not about getting smaller in your humanity. It is about getting bigger in your honesty. The cold version of ruthless makes a man dangerous to the people who love him. The right version makes him dangerous to the things that are killing him. 3 more laws. They are the ones that separate the men who get hard from the men who get built. Stay with me. Law 5. Close the doors you keep reopening. Some doors do not need more thought. They need locks. Here is the principle. If a door keeps leading you back to weakness, stop calling it a choice. Call it a threat. Picture a man who keeps going back to the same woman, same site, same bottle, same feed, same argument, same spending habit, same old version of himself. Every time, he says the same thing. Just this once. I can handle it. It is not that bad. I will stop after this. No, he will not. Not while the door stays open. A real mentor teaches a man to stop negotiating with traps. He says, you don't manage what keeps owning you. You cut access off. That may mean deleting the number, blocking the site, getting the bottle out of the house, putting the phone outside the bedroom, canceling the card, changing the route, ending the friendship, walking out of the room before the old fight starts, not because you're weak, because you are wise enough to stop standing next to fire and bragging that you do not burn. A ruthless man does not keep proving he can resist the thing that keeps beating him. He changes the battlefield. That is not cowardice. That is war sense. The man who closes the door stops letting yesterday's weakness keep walking into tomorrow. And when those doors close, something else opens. A cleaner life. But clean living costs. That is the next law. Law 6. Pay the cost of clean strength. Every real standard has a price. Here is the principle. If your strength costs you nothing, it is probably just an image. Picture a man sitting in a room where everyone is laughing at someone who is not there. He knows it's wrong. He feels it. If he stays quiet, he keeps the room. If he speaks, the room changes. That's the cost. Or picture a husband who knows he owes his wife a hard truth, not because he got caught. Because hiding it is splitting him in half. If he tells her, it will hurt. If he does not, it will poison. That is the cost. Or picture a young man who knows he needs to stop lying to himself about his work ethic. If he tells the truth, he has to change. That is the cost. A mentor teaches a man this. Do not ask if the truth will cost you. Ask what the lie is already costing you. That is the question. Because lies charge interest. Delay charges interest. Cowardice charges interest. Hidden weakness charges interest. A ruthless man pays early. He does not wait until the bill is bigger. He chooses clean pain now over dirty peace later. That is not heartless. That is honor. The soul is not lost by being ruthless. The soul is lost by making peace with what you know is wrong. And that leads to the last law. Because no man stays clean, sharp, and strong alone. Law 7. Stay close to men who will not let you go soft. This is the law most men skip, and it is the one that holds the rest together. Here is the principle. Isolation lets weakness rename itself. Picture a man trying to change alone. He has standards in his head, plans in his notebook, videos in his watch history, quotes saved on his phone, but nobody close enough to ask him the real questions. Did you do it? Did you tell the truth? Did you close the door? Did you hold the line? Did you fold again? What are you hiding? So he drifts, quietly, then calls it growth because he learned new words. A mentor kills that fog. He does not let a man confuse insight with change. He says, "You're definitely talking as if life is better. Are you truly living better?" That question is medicine. Hard medicine, but medicine nonetheless. Picture a man who wants to stop getting angry at home. His mentor tells him, "Text me every night for 2 weeks. Green if you held the line, red if you broke it. No paragraph, no spin." That changes the man, because now his weakness has light on it. And weakness hates light. A ruthless man does not keep his worst patterns in the dark and hope they die. He brings them where truth can reach them. That is not needy. That is how men get formed. You need a man above you, and you need a man behind you. One to sharpen you, one to remind you that your growth is not just for you. The man who stays close to strong men becomes harder for weak patterns to keep. So here is where you are now. You came into this video feeling the pull to harden, the pull to cut, the pull to become someone the world cannot hurt anymore. That pull is not wrong. It is just unguided. You don't need to get colder. You need to get cleaner. You are not the man being sold a counterfeit version of strength anymore. That guy is behind you. He served his purpose. He got you here. But he does not get to drive from here. The man in front of you is different. He stops calling fear by noble names. He cuts what corrupts him without apology. He lets people be upset without folding. He tells himself the truth faster than weakness can hide. He closes the doors he keeps reopening. He pays the cost of clean strength early, and he stays close to men who will not let him go soft. That is who you are now, not someday, now. The second you decide it. Here is your move this week. Pick one door you keep reopening, just one. It can be a habit, a person, a site, a lie, a pattern, a place, a compromise, just name it. Then close it. Not halfway, not I'll try. Close it like a man who understands the cost of leaving it open. Then tell one real man what you are closing. Ask him to check on you in 7 days. Because private promises are where weak patterns go to survive. You are not here to be a soft man with good intentions. You are not here to be a nice man with no line. You are not here to be used by the world and then call it love. You are here to become the kind of man who can protect what is good, because he finally became dangerous to what is not. Be ruthless with what is killing your soul, or it will keep calling itself part of you. If this landed, good. That means you are ready. Subscribe to Someone to Be. Hit like so the algorithm puts this in front of another man who needs it. Share it with one man in your life who has been getting ruthless wrong for too long. And drop the word ruthless in the comments so I know you are in. Find someone to look up to. Become someone others can look up to. Become someone to be. I will see you in the next one.